A great good morning to all of those who are tuning to the realest thing in the world coming to you from Guyana. I guess you didn't know that, Dr. Hines.
So I was told.
Yes, the realest thing in the world. And the funny thing about that, I continue to say it and nobody disputes it. This morning, we have a guest. As you know, you guys know that's not normal, but Dr. Hines is no stranger to Guyanese and politics in general, but a lot of times I feel that about myself also. And, sometimes I meet people and say, oh, Critic, who, because they're in there on social media and these kind of things, or certain people mightn't play around politics or be around politics, they wouldn't know. So I'll let Dr. Hines give you just a, brief background of himself, and then we'll go straight into today's discussion. Dr. Hines, thank you for coming. Thank you for this opportunity, for us to do this. Just give Guyanese, for those in the diaspora, some people might not know, a brief background about yourself and profession.
I'm a Buxtonian. I was born there. I noticed you said that I went to Buxton. No, I'm from there. I'm a Buxtonian.
Born Buxtonian.
Born and bred Buxtonian.
My apologies. I am now adequately informed.
Yeah. And I've been a political activist from 1974, starting as a 15-year-old. Next year will be 50 years. Sometimes people think that I start politics in 2020. 50 years will be next year. So I'm no stranger to political activism. I mix political activism with academia, cultural. I'm very big into culture because I think culture is at the center of everything that we do. And along political activism of 50 years, you go through changes, Today I'm dealing with race. Yesterday I was dealing with class. Tomorrow I may be dealing with gender. When you stretch that long period, you get to change as your country changes, as your region changes, and as your world changes. And I think to understand people who have long activism, you have to understand the totality of their intervention. If you slice 2 years of their intervention and then define them by that, you will end up with wrong assumptions. So, in a sense, that's my that's who I am.
You're also a professor.
Yeah. I teach. I consider that a very important aspect of life, to teach young people in the formal education setting, but also to teach in the larger university without walls. Every evening, I do my politics 101. I teach. I'm teaching in a university without walls. People say that I rev up people and I do that. Maybe that can be the outcome for some people. But I never sit in front of a microphone and not teach people something. Very, very, very important. And it has to be, because education is not something that came easy to people like me, and I suspect people like you. There was a time when education was reserved for the elite. And it was only over the last 50 or 60 years that people like you and I were able to have access to education. And so I feel that education should not be something that one keeps to oneself, that one uses education as a means of encouraging people, of uplifting people. When we say we do research as professors, what we're really doing, in the words of E.U.C. Quine, we are taking people's experiences, refine them, and sometimes we write them in books and articles and pack them away in a shelf in some university. But I believe in the Quine thesis that you take people's experience, you refine them, what we call research, and then you give them back to the people, so that the people can use it as political nourishment and cultural nourishment. I heard you yesterday say, well, them man ain't got no followers. No, I'm not looking for followers. I'm looking to teach people. And I would only know that when I go to Belladrum, as I did on Emancipation Day, and ordinary people, young men, sitting playing dominoes, get up and come to me and say, I learned so and so from listening to politics. Well, those are my followers. I don't want them to vote for me. I want them to share what I was privileged to get, right? And so therefore, education for me is at the center. It is mobility. It is the source of mobility. I mean, I born and grow poor, real poor. And the most I could have in those days, the most I could have thought of was probably becoming a teacher or working for the government as a civil servant. But here am I. Here I am, going beyond that. And it was because of preparation and opportunities. Opportunities that others who I went to primary school with and secondary school who were bright more than me. But they never got the opportunities that I got. And so therefore, I feel that I have to speak for them and I have to represent them because the opportunities that I got, they didn't get those opportunities, not because they weren't, bright or whatever, but because of the way the society is structured. It allows a few of us to rise above the ghetto. And those of us who rise above the ghetto must go back to the ghetto, to open up the ghetto to the experiences that we have gained along the way.
Dr. Hines, in your terms, there's been a lot of changes in your life or the way you do things over the last 50 years. Would you suggest that that has been more for the radical in recent years?
Not really. I grew up in Guyana. I started out in radical politics. I'm a child of the 70s. I started high school in 1970. And so I came of age as a young person. The 70s were the radical 70s. Valentino, the Calypsonian brother Valentino from Trinidad, called it the roaring 70s. It was a time of black power where independence had come to these colonial outposts, and we said, wow, we are now free. And then you discovered that nothing had changed materially. And so therefore, people began to say that the black person, having undergone 200 and odd years of enslavement without pay, where their humanity, their identity, their sense of being was taken away by law. And here they were, emancipation came first, and the freedom did not emerge. Independence has now come, and that freedom is still deferred. And so therefore, people are saying, what we need is not a good feeling. What we need is power. Economic power, political power, cultural power, academic power, intellectual power. What we need is power. All right? And so I came up in the black
When
power
you say we need it, blacks need power.
and poor people need power.
The PNC has had power for 28 years. What have they done with it?
Power, that's narrow power. That's the power of office.
We're talking about power in the wider context.
Yes, I'm talking here about the power to achieve what others are achieving. I made the point that I was one of a minority who rose from a poor village to become a PhD. No, others didn't have the opportunity. So what power means is the ability, the opportunity to achieve. You see? And so when I'm talking about power, I'm not talking about narrow political power. I'm talking here about a sense of having control over your destiny as an individual, as a family, as part of a community. And so therefore, when one talked about black power, one wasn't talking about a constitutional power and so on. My God, in Trinidad with the February Revolution in 1970, the young black men were rising up against Eric Williams' government. Now they were radicalized by Eric Williams, who wrote the greatest economic thesis of slavery. It's called Capitalism and Slavery. And here he was as prime minister, not delivering on what he promised in his scholarship. And young blacks who he radicalized, the Rodneys and Geddes Granger and Clive Thomases and Tim Hector, he radicalized them. And they were saying, no, you have power. Your people are not empowered. They still can't walk in banks. They still can't go to certain schools. Their girls still cannot contest in certain pageants. And so therefore the Black Power movement was about raising the question of black empowerment. And as the 70s evolved, Black Power turned into people's power. Because we realized that it was not just about race, it was also about class. It was also not just because you're black, but because you're poor. Right? And the coming together of race and class produced a certain kind of radical of the 1970s. And I was born politically into that. My first opposition to a government was against the black government elected in this country. I went to jail for 3 years and 3 months. Nobody didn't call me a racist then. I was opposed. The same thing I'm saying to this government now. The same things I'm accusing this government of, I accused the Burnham government of. Today, you and others are saying I'm racist because...
No, but simultaneously, you represent, the tables have now turned, and you're accusing this government sometimes of things that are questionable, but you represent a government that oppressed the people for a long period of time.
I never represented any government. I was one of the biggest critics of the coalition government. The coalition government fired me from the Ministry of Social Cohesion, fired me from Chronicle. Why? Because I said to them, you're wrong. You're wrong. I don't discriminate when it comes to governments. Whether it's the PNC government of Burnham and Hoyt, the PPP government of Jagan and Jagdeo and Ramatar, the coalition government of Granger, this government. I do not discriminate when it comes to resisting government wrong, because government by itself is not a good thing. It's necessary. Some people say government is a necessary good. Some people say it's a necessary evil. Some people say it is an unnecessary evil, right? I think that government is necessary. I do not believe that government is inherently good. Whether it's a black government, a brown government, or a white government, I think as citizens, we ought to be able to keep that government in focus and hold it to the line. And that is what I've done all my life.
Dr. Hines,
yeah,
the reason we're here and we're having this conversation today, I did not expect this would have been it, and it would have been an a bit of a learning curve for me. So viewers, recently I looked at a video with Dr. Hines, and I've looked at many of Dr. Hines's videos, and I continue to come up in my mind because, as Dr. Hines himself says, he tries to educate. That is all he can give. I get a bit of a racist connotation to what you project. And I'm going to play the videos. I'm going to look at the videos. And Dr. Hines called me and he said, first I must apologize when you're saying David Hines. I said, who? It was not intentional. It's just that I was driving and thinking, So, and I didn't expect you to call me. This is the first thing.
Right.
So, because I've always told anybody I talk against, I say, here, you could call me anything. You could walk me, show you while I got life, or call right away and say, here, this is bullshit. You understand? And once I could verify the information, I accept. So the reason we're here is Dr. Hines Collins. I do not appreciate how you labeled me, not in so many words, but basically thing, I wanna explain, I wanna answer. And I am very respectful of that decision because it opens my eyes to things, but it doesn't change the perception that you have given me. Because I am of Portuguese and black heritage. My father, Dr. Hines, by the way, my father was a man by the name of Vincent Harold Hines. I don't know if you know Vincent Hines.
The name Vincent has come to mind.
Right?
Yeah.
Old gold mine and all them things. So my father, as I remember, would have been a black man looking like you.
Yeah.
My mother is Portuguese.
Yeah.
Would you consider me to be a black man? What do you consider me? Or how do you see a person like me?
Well, blackness, there's phenotypical blackness. You may not be phenotypically black, right, as myself. But there's also cultural blackness.
But I fall into that category?
Well, it depends on how you identify yourself.
No, but I can't be. I can't be Indian or black.
This is where identity comes. If you go to the United States.
And I'm obviously not European.
If you go to the United States, from the time you land at the airport, you're
black. Roger. Right. So I consider myself black.
Right.
Why I take grave umbrage to the message that you preach. Here one to me.
Yeah.
Nearly caused me, gets me a little emotional when I talk about it. So, in me coming and speaking out, my method too is education. Right. So in me coming and speaking out, I have been able to amass a greater black following than anybody else. Right? Because I got my little joke. I got my radical way, you understand? I could get violent, vulgar, right?
Yeah.
So I got a mixture of things that attract a wide cross section of society, but more blacks. And coming up to the election and COVID time and so on, I had a program, and a snippet of my program was taken out. And the PNC made it out that I was a racist.
Right.
And my words were, blacks don't like to read. Black people don't like to read. Because there was a whole uproar about an issue. And if people had read the paper, they would have known that that wasn't true.
Yeah.
And at the time, the opposition was in government spewing misinformation.
Right.
The opposition, now this is a video, so you could watch it 100 times and hear and know what I said. Went on, no opposition in government at the time, said that I said blacks don't know to read. Now, you have been, there Desmond Hoyt, there's Burnham, so many people, the whole public sector, all the nurses, doctors, police. How would anyone, why not consider it to be a slip of tongue? Yes, and because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And when they tried to make me out to be a racist, I had to question myself, because I have had over the years many little black girlfriends, you know? So I calculating, was it an intent on controlling or dominating? Was it a hatred, an intent on oppressing? All of my friends, I grew up in Alberton, all of my friends, my closest friends were black boys, right? So I was a racist? How am I a racist? So, with your thing in the information that you put in out, it touched me personally, because I know how this dissemination of information and race baiting affects me, because it affected me. For 6 months, I was thinking, my God, and is the black people who support me and who know me personally said, I think I met Winston one time after a program, maybe had a talk with Winston. Winston said, man, you're not a racist, you're just a jackass. You're wrong talk, yes, but you're not a racist. But you're public figure, you got watch what you're saying. So when I continue to look at your videos, I'm thinking, why would Dr. Hines do this? Why would he? Because you are projecting onto me. Again, no other reason I pay attention than because I was affected so gravely by people trying to make me out to be a racist. So I'm identifying, I'm looking, and I'm saying, this is racism. This man is projecting his racism. And you say, Critic, no, this is not. I want to just show you a few of your videos and the things you say.
In whatever way you can, undermine this government. Undermine this government. In whatever way you can. I can't tell you how to do it. But in Geneva, make Washiba take notice. Undermine this government because it has no good intention towards you. Yes.
No. Looking at this video, and before you respond, I will tell you what I perceive.
Yeah, tell me.
So I listen to the thing, and I realize there's a struggle. So it is a message is being sent. But when you say into Baniva, right? That's like an African thing, right? So right away you separate yourself. I realize it in just a movement is a black thing. It goes back every time it goes back to race, and I'm like, no.
You heard anything about race there?
No. But again,
Yeah.
you're sending a message.
Yes.
I am telling you sincerely, Dr. Hines, while I'm here, how I'm receiving your message.
Yes.
You understand? Because I am here. When I'm here,
Yeah.
again, I just told you,
Yeah.
I did not say black people can't read. I said black people don't like to read.
Yeah.
It was taken out of context. So I look in and I'm thinking, I had to accept that my information was taken in a certain manner. That's why people consider me or labeled me as a racist.
Yes.
But I knew what I was able to overcome with is because I knew the PNC was intent on trying to separate me from black people, from educating black people.
Yeah.
I am saying, as I look at this video, I am telling you what I get. You could say, Critic, you're ignorant and you don't understand. Or you could explain to me what is the English meaning of the term you use there. Because I honestly don't know.
Right.
But right away, I tell you, I breaking it down into syllables and I taking it, right? So when you think, I'm saying undermine this government.
Yes.
Good reason. I don't know what is the reason at the time.
Yeah.
It was a protest.
Yeah.
And yes, undermine could mean many things.
Yes.
But when you switch, go there, and there was more to this, right? There was more to this.
Yes.
This is just an excerpt of it.
Yes.
When you switch, I can't like, so what's the message? Because right away it gone black. It gone into the black struggle. Why can't it be the facts, the issues? Why I take umbrage to these things? Again, when I am here, I set up this platform. And what I do is I feed off of a cause. So people call in, Critic, this is the problem. And I point to the minister and I start cussing and I tell you what's going on. And David Hines do this and I watch it because this is the issue. It has been raised, right? Unlike what I'm seeing with yourself and black leadership is projecting onto the people that this is a problem. The world is falling apart and people are thinking, where because when you're talking about things, I'm trying to figure out where this problem is that we're talking about. You understand? My issue here.
I'm trying to understand your issue.
I have perceived, you have projected something onto
you
me.
perceive.
Right?
Yeah. And your perception arises from where you sit or where you stand. If you're looking through the window, you see something different from somebody who's looking through that same window inside.
From another direction.
Thank you very much. So your perception is where you are.
Nonetheless, it exists.
No, I am not saying it doesn't exist. But you have to recognize that your perception is driven from where you sit. If tomorrow you shift where you sit, your perception changes.
Are you suggesting to me that black youth are not receiving this message in a way that is going to radicalize them and is going to want to cause them to go and cause harm on people?
Well, why would you think that? Why would you not think that they will receive this message and feel proud of themselves?
Just like you're suggesting the angle they're from.
There you go.
Just like you're suggesting the angle they're from. Because I'm not saying they will do that.
Yes.
I am asking, are you cognizant of the fact that the possibilities of these things exist?
I am cognizant of the fact that they can receive it in 50 different ways. You cannot determine for them how they will receive it. And that is the problem I have with non-African people, right? Is that everybody seems to think that they can determine for African people what they should listen to how they should perceive things and what they will do. And that in itself echoes back, harkens back to enslavement. Because that was our condition during slavery. The master decided everything, how we think, what we eat, what name we got, which church we go to, whether we have souls or not. And as Bob Marley said, every time I hear the crack of the whip, my blood runs cold. Meaning, every time I hear somebody trying to tell black people how they should think, who they should follow, I remember the slave ship. I remember the slave plantation. And I think there is a kind of lack of understanding of black people in this country and other countries. We are the only people in this country who came here against our will, who were enslaved, who lost our humanity, lost our identity, lost our history.
Many countries across the world, Dr. Hines.
No, I'm telling you about black people and not our country here. We are the only people. We have a unique story to tell that you and others who are not Africans will not understand. And give us a chance to tell our story.
No, but you're not telling your story, Dr. Hines. You're not telling me. For the first time,
yes,
we're now doing something where I could learn.
Yes.
You are there inciting. You're not telling me. If you told me a story.
Yes.
Right? I might have been part of your struggle.
My story to you is incitement because my story says something that may be at cross purposes with how you see the world. And so to you, it's incitement. To the little black girl and boy who listens to me and others, it's not incitement. It's lifting them up because they're being beaten down so much that people like myself who had the opportunity to read some books, travel the world, now come and speak to them. I'm uplifting them.
Dr. Hines,
to you, because of where you sit, you are friendly with the government. And governments always feel people are inciting against them. If this government changed tomorrow, the African government...
I was friendly with the PNC.
No, if this government...
I campaigned for the PNC.
Yes,
you know.
but if this government changes tomorrow, Indians will feel the same way. They will feel beaten up upon. And the government will feel that when Indian leaders talk to them, Indian leaders are inciting them. When Jack Dio said, chase them out, when they come in your villages, nobody, was he inciting anybody? Was he inciting?
I would want if it falls under that, it is.
If you're on the government, you feel he's inciting. If you're Indian, you don't feel he's inciting. If you're the government, a black government, you feel is inciting. So therefore, I understand why the government will think that we are inciting.
No, but Dr. Hines, I tell you why I...
Yes, but Critic...
think your actions are racist. I think you're inciting because I have had my hands...
Critic, what's your definition of race? A racist? What's your definition of racism?
It is a distasteful, oppressive method by one race against another. Right? From my perspective.
All right.
One of the things that does not afford me the opportunity to really give you a definitive, painful thing about it.
Yes.
Is because of my mixed race. So,
Yeah.
for instance, if I go and sit down with an Indian man, he talks to me and very open with me. And if I go and sit down with a black man, he talks to me and very open with me. And I also have the experience that the two of them don't share certain kind of conversation with one another. Me is like one of anybody. I could fit into anyway.
But note what you said. You are of mixed what?
Mixed race.
Race is real. Whether you mix up, or a mix-up, race is real. Race was created in the mid-1700s to justify the enslavement of black people. I hear you say them banner always stand for race. We didn't create race. Race was created to keep us under subjugation for 400 years. You all have to understand that. And so therefore, as Walter Rodney said, if a man uses race to dehumanize me, I must use race to what? Humanize myself. Walter Rodney said that. We didn't create race. We have fought against racism all of our existence from the Middle Passage to now.
No, but is it because of your fight? Is it because of your struggle? Is it because of the plight that you have experienced? We accept what racism was and what racism, slavery was and what it did to black people. Is that the reason for the continued creation of a struggle that we should be now coming out of?
You don't come out of a struggle. You don't.
Where does it end at times?
You do not dehumanize people for 400 years and expect in 100 years it goes away.
No, but why should the rest of Guyanese suffer at the behest of what the colonial master did to you?
You suffer what? What are black people doing to you and other races? What are we doing to you and other races?
As a result, we totally forget the more fire, slow fire days.
That's political.
No,
you forget the civil disobedience and I notice you played civil disobedience and non-coop after the 1973 election. The PPP did not go to parliament. You quote me as civil disobedience. You don't have to play
this
them.
Is the one?
No, not one. You played many of them. The PPP after the 1973 election did not go to parliament. They told their supporters, who were mainly Indians, to engage in non-cooperation and civil disobedience. It lasted from 1973 until they went back to parliament in 1976. They advised their Indian supporters, bring your produce to Georgetown, sell, make back your money, and then dump the rest or carry it away. It was all part of politics. They said, when the cane ripe, burn the cane so that the government will not get revenues. I was on that side in the 70s and the 80s because we were in solidarity with the PPP because all of us felt that the Burnham regime had gone too far. So what Hoy did with slow fire, Jagan did with slow fire. That is a reality of politics. And you are projecting some racial intention to it. Now, what's the definition of racism? A racist is a person who believes his or her racial group is superior to others. You will never find that coming out of my mouth. I do not believe in racial superiority. You played something where I said God put the wealth in the earth, and you said I must be talking about black God. And in the very clip, it says it must be divided equally. I believe in racial equality, not racial domination. Racial domination is racism. I am not a racist. I'm fighting every day against racism because the biggest victims of racism, the lasting victim of racism are our people. I walked in as a professor to a library to put books on reserve for my children. I stood there for an hour. And when I asked the little white girl, why are you not attending to me? She said, I attend to professors first and students last.
She couldn't believe you were a professor.
Thank you very much.
Do we, the Guyanese citizen, have to pay for that?
No, you don't have to pay for that because in Guyana, we are engaged in anti-black racism. They're black people, red-skinned black people who themselves are engaged in discrimination against dark-skinned black people. It doesn't matter where it is in America. Wherever slavery exists, race exists. And wherever race exists...
Wherever slavery had existed?
Yes.
Okay. You said wherever slavery exists, had existed.
Wherever slavery existed, or had existed, whatever you want to say it, race exists. We are experiencing the scars of bondage. The sickness that black people get can be traced back to slavery. The kind of education that we get can be traced back to slavery. Our religious instincts can be traced back to slavery.
Do you think the black movement, do you think one of the problems yourself and like-minded persons think that all black people should come out at one time or be in the struggle all the time. I've continued to hear attacks being met out. I can't say I heard it from you, but attacks being met out to black people who have crossed over to the PPP or who have elevated themselves to a certain level as house slaves. Why is that? Why is that? Why do we have to bring down black people who are developing
one
themselves?
has to be very careful. God bless Roger Luncheon. He just died. He has been PPP for all his public life. Cyril Belgrave, Clinton Collymore, Clement Roy. Those people belong to the PPP by conviction. By conviction, they joined the PPP when it was not fashionable to join the PPP.
It's nice that you brought up Roger Luncheon. Just before you go into anything else, Roger Luncheon, the opposition and the supporters, people on social media, attacked a dead man, Roger Luncheon. What's your take on Roger Luncheon?
I just said Roger Luncheon chose to join the PPP. And when a black man joins the PPP, he's not joining the PPP going to represent black people. He's representing himself. When an Indian joins the PNC, he or she is not going over to the PNC to represent Indian people. There's not an Indian caucus in the PNC representing Indian interests in the PNC. There's not a black caucus in the PPP representing black interests.
I can tell you, I might know otherwise.
Well, hold on.
I might know otherwise.
They're representing themselves. And if they give something to black people, they have to hide to do it. Or they have to exact from black people something. Come on. If you go and you want my vote, why you got to take out my picture? Put on a red jersey on me. Parade me up and down the ground. Make me got to go in the polling booth and take out how I vote. You're endangering my life.
No truth in that, Dr. Hines. Hear why. Hear why. I continually to be in the background. Yesterday, somebody asked me something, saying something because of certain circles I'm in. And I say, you did not know, but now you know. I'm not a PPP. But I have preview. So the black people that I know are willing and willing participants. This thing about people giving people jersey.
Oh, you know they're willing.
I know. I just be there.
They tell you, right?
No. You realize you see the movements. You would see the movements with people.
You know the things that black people will tell me they won't tell you?
I would want to think so.
Thank you very much.
Right? But here, one of the things, as you guys bring out the information, no proof. On many, here, you can't get 100 people come out and put on jersey. All right.
Mikhail, I live in a village. I go to school with people who take a little sauce and put on the jersey. And they would pull me in a corner and say, Doc, let me level with you. And they tell me what happened. Don't tell me that it's not true. There are things that black people will tell me that they won't tell you.
Dr. Hines, I continually meet people.
So you're saying those people lie on the side?
They lie. It's blatant lies. I don't know about them people. Hear why. These people.
Yes, Critic.
Right? No, from the background.
Yes.
I look. And I continue to worry. Why would black leaders try to hold back? We had a discussion at time. And I said, Dr. Hines, get 1,000 youths.
Yes.
Remember the story?
Yes.
Get 1,000 black youths.
Yes.
You explained to me something. We had this. We ain't going to go into details. I said, get 1,000 black youths. And you said, no. I will not deliver black youths to the PPP.
For a football.
No, I told you whatever you want.
Hear what
I would broker a deal.
No. I don't want gifts for black people. Orphan Ali, Barra Jack Dio, the PPP, you do not owe black people anything. You all don't owe black people anything. Let me tell you who owe black people, the state. Black people work for this country for 200 and odd years, and the state didn't pay them. The state, the colonial state. That colonial state has morphed into the post-colonial state. That post-colonial state owes black people. You don't. Jack Dio don't. Orphan Ali don't. We're not asking for gifts. What we're asking for is for the state to equitably distribute the resources. And now that we have plenty of resources, the first debt you should pay is that debt of 250 years. You have that debt.
What is the value of a debt like that?
We can figure that out. But it's plenty. Imagine that 250 years of labor built European wealth. Made France and England the powers they are. Made the United States the powers they are. You figure it out. All right? So
do you consider indentureship a form of oppression?
Yes, but they were paid something. So you owe Indian.
Can we come and negotiate for nothing?
No, you owe Indian, but you owe black people more. Because you didn't pay black people at all for 250 years. And now that you got some oil money, the first people at the table should be the black people. Settle your debt with those who you owe the most. It's simple as that. You get a business. You couldn't pay your workers because things were hard. And all of a sudden your business start making money. What the first thing you do? I was paying you $5 when I should be paying you $20.
So the intention here is now being made clear.
Yes.
It's not political in nature. It's a case whereas we have this argument and we want a cut of these resources straight out the back.
Equal cut. We're not asking for more than we deserve. We are saying right off the bat, you owe us. You owe Indian people, you owe Amerindian people. But you owe we more because you paid us nothing for 250 years. Settle that debt first. Now that you got money, come to the table and say, black people, your condition today is as a result of the fact that we didn't pay you for 250 years. Let's settle the debt. And we are not asking for more, although we deserve more because you owe us more. We're asking for equal.
Dr. Hines, this argument is being made by you.
Yes.
An individual who would have had an experience to sit in a vantage area from 2015 to 2020. I think the latter part you would have come out of job or whatever you say, were fired. While black government, a predominantly black government, took everything, $10,000 from mothers for the children, added on taxes, added on things for the pensioners. We are in a time where it's now 400% added. It's $40,000 given.
Right.
And here, we ain't talking 40% of this is blacks. Right? 40% of the people who receive this cash grant on a yearly basis is blacks. So we're just looking at what blacks are getting. 13,000 house lots. Blacks.
We don't want cash grants.
No, but the black government took everything.
No, I was critical and many black people were critical of that black government.
Everything.
I was critical and many black people were critical of that black government. I want the Indian leader, show me the major Indian leader today who's critical of this government.
No, but again, we're looking to the front and there's a need to be critical.
Yes.
So, 2015 to 2020.
Yes, they made mistakes.
Right?
They made mistakes.
Everything is taken.
Yes.
And you got 2020, things are being added on like this. I wouldn't say things are perfect. Things are not. Human beings by nature seem never to settle or be satisfied.
Mikhail, what you are missing is the particularity of the black condition. And that is why I have to continue educating, because I think people like yourselves need to be educated about the condition. I just said it. Here were people who are not paid for 200. You imagine working for 2 years without being paid. Imagine people work for 250 years without being paid. Project your mind there.
Where do you think we would be, Dr. Hines?
Yes.
If the Venezuelans use such an understanding for the Essequibo.
For the meaning what? What understanding?
The fact that from the past has come back and we're owed something.
Critic, this is what it is so disrespectful to black people. You are comparing Venezuela with slavery. Come on, I'm saying you all you all do not understand the fundamentals of what slavery did to the black man and the white man. Because it's not just the black man. Slavery affected the black man and the white man.
How so the white man?
Because it brought out the inhumanity of the white man. It makes the white man more inhuman, and he has to atone for his inhumanity. Black people have to regain their humanity. It's a process. And you people who are not black or white, trivialize it. You don't compare in Venezuela with slavery.
No, I'm talking about there needs to be a settlement.
Settle it now. You have money now. You have resources
now. But if Venezuela were to use a process like that,
you cannot compare apples and oranges. You can't do that. Slavery is fundamental. It's fundamental. Settle it all over the world. They're settling it. They're settling it. The state of Guyana must settle it.
How so? Tell me.
How?
All over the world. Name instances.
There are places all over the world. The Dutch just apologized for slavery.
So who here is going to apologize?
The state. The state. It is the state that enslaved my foreparents.
Break it down for me. What was the state in this case? And now the present government representatives of the state?
The present government is managing the state. The state is constant. Governments come and governments go. The state is constant.
Why do you think when black leaders had the opportunity and were managing the state, they did not make right on these issues and concerns?
Because some of them were being opportunistic. Some of them didn't understand the issues.
A man like Granger, a historian?
Let me finish. And some of them didn't have the resources to do it. All right? No, listen. Critic. Yesterday we were talking about police stations. Look where police stations are located. Plaisance, BV, Buxton, Ramveld. There is not a mistake that police stations are located in black villages, because the police was created to control black people.
No, but there's none in Buxton. There's none in...
Vigilance is Buxton.
We got Albert Tong, Queenstown there. Albert Tong got a station.
Albert Tong is where black people... Albert Tong is where black people used to live. You see any in Enmore? An Enterprise?
Enmore got, yes. Well, Enterprise don't have, but Enmore has a police station.
Post. I'm talking about police station. The police was created in 1839. Emancipation formally came in 1838. The police force is constructed and created in 1839. You think that it was created to police the slave masters? It was created to police black people. That is why up to today, whenever police, whether that police is black, brown, or blue, when that police sees a black man, he thinks about that black man differently. He's quicker to pull that trigger on a black man than he pulls on a white man or a brown man or a yellow man. And you all have to get your teeth into that. That the structures of the society, the institutions of the society, today's society are anti-black in their orientation.
Dr. Hines, have you ever seen in your many years of activism, 50 years now, an Indian uprising that could be likened in recent years, that could be likened to those of the Baath settlement and so on that happened recently?
What do you mean?
They had riots in Baath settlement.
Yes.
Indians were shot. But
and they shoot people.
Can you remember Indians acting in the man in the past?
In the 1960s.
Way back in the 1960s.
Not way back, just the 1960s.
Because, for instance, when I experienced that was an aha moment for me.
Yeah.
My first experience with rioting and looting was like in 1992. By the way, I'm just 43 years of age.
Right.
So I stand up by region and light street, I could remember. And I see people running, women, men, everybody running. And I was like, what's going on? People breaking into the store, running, fetching things and all them things though. You make it out the police force, the system.
Yeah.
Was the system created because of a certain circumstance? You make it out like...
It was created to control black people. And you don't see Indians writing in Guyana. You don't see them writing in India, on Bangladesh. And I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
I've seen in the news.
Thank you very much. So rioting is not black. It's not reserved for black people. Indian people riot. You see white people rioting? Yes.
It depends on the circumstances of the environment.
That's my point. So don't racialize it.
No, but everything else you're racializing where the police forces.
I am saying.
If the police was needed, stations was needed in certain communities, it would have been there.
Yes.
There are no communities that don't have stations that does be violent.
Mikhail, you're careless with your arguments. You're careless with your arguments. I said the police force was created in 1839. Indian people weren't here. It was created to control black people. Because here were these people who were savages. They've now freed themselves. We cannot have them running around the place. In England, the police force didn't carry guns, but in their British territories, in their colonial territories, the police carried guns. Understand? Guns could not be carried in England because you couldn't shoot white people. They're superior. But you arm your police in the British colonies with guns, not to shoot white people, to shoot black people.
Dr. Hines, on guns. I want you to listen to this. Since we're on guns.
Yes.
You represented this once, not too long ago.
Come in this country very soon. Where we going to test our brothers and sisters. They will have to make up their minds. Whether they live with us or they live with the PPP. And if they shoot us down, we will shoot them back. We want them to be crystal clear. And if the police and the army allow themselves to be used to slaughter African people, we will wage a war against them.
Now continually. This is the message that is sent out. Messages of we have to accept, or you have accepted, that where we are today is as a result of the colonial masters doing.
It's a result of a system called colonialism. And that system exists today.
So are we now taking advice? Are we now willing to, because he said a white diplomat.
Yes.
Are we now taking advice from the same people who have caused these hardships upon us? This thing that has destroyed us from within. And I'm saying us because I'm half black, and my father would have been the direct, his ancestors would have been slaves, right? My great grandmother, obviously, because we're only 200 years out?
Yeah.
200 years out?
Yes.
Well, so my great grandmother would have been. You come out publicly and represent statements like this being made. Things that the majority of society seem as harmful, as insightful. Why so?
What has he said there that is so harmful and insightful?
Is it normal? Is it normal for us to suggest that we need to turn the police force, if they turn their guns?
Turn it back on them.
On who?
On the police. If the police all over the world, when the police turn the guns on people in the United States,
again, we did not perceive.
Yes.
We did not perceive.
Yes.
Guyanese people,
Yes.
for the most part,
Yes.
did not perceive that to mean the police.
Not Guyanese people, supporters of the PPP.
Guyanese people.
Yes.
I am telling you, many black people.
Part of the Guyanese people.
Here.
Yeah.
The funny thing is,
Yes.
just like how you say people, some people tell you something, a lot of people tell you, a lot of my supporters,
Yes.
more than people want to think,
Yes.
are black,
Yes.
pro PNC people,
Right.
right? Who say, Critic, you gotta hold the fight to do it. Critic.
Yeah.
Watch. Every God day, hundreds of messages.
Yes.
P-A-U-L, right? Hundreds of messages. And a lot of times, not in agreement with, all right, there's a voice note. You see all these voice notes?
Yeah.
Listen.
Just learned something new from you, that having a political party is a business. I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me, man. I didn't know having a
No.
I see that a show start up, the rap, but I know it was the crap. Two guys
This is
propagandized.
a PNC man, but constantly we tell you, call as a critic. I don't appreciate this. Okay, that is okay. So everybody doesn't share this radical sentiment.
I got one question for you. Is Louis Farrakhan a racist?
Right? This would be directly related to my discussion about you.
Yeah.
So this man listens to you,
Yes.
black man,
Yes.
PNC man,
Right.
but he makes sure he keep the line. He said, Critic, he would call and say, Critic, I understand. You explain something to me there. Critic, I don't like this thing what you're saying. And then I would message back here and explain to he what I meant.
Human beings by our very nature are good. And we are broad-minded. And Africans are human beings too. They're broad-minded. They're not a monolith. All black people don't think the same way. In fact, black people may be more diverse than the other ethnic groups.
No, but I continue to say my argument
Yes.
is that you're making out a struggle for black people that doesn't really
No,
exist.
I don't make out struggle for black people. Black people been struggling from the middle passage to now. You see, this is
So
where,
why they don't?
This is where I think you all
Why we don't
you all think
create
that,
platforms
you all
for them to
think-
come out and say
you all think
you are speaking for?
you all think that you can own a remote control and control black people. Critic, that is so insultive to us. I don't have to create nothing for black people.
How in
I
what
am
way?
a product of the black struggle.
How in what way? You think when you're saying y'all, I accept whoever y'all.
Yeah.
In what way do we think we could control black people?
Because you all always say that black people this and black people and that, and black people are know to
No,
follow.
but give me one specific.
I'm saying that you all do not. What do CLRGM say? What do they know of cricket that only cricket know? What do you all know of black people? Only black people know. We know where we belly hot in we. You all can never
but
know that.
Dr. Hines, you can't bring an argument
I'm not
and tell me, man. And I say, so Dr. Hines, tell me,
Yeah.
let me diagnose. And then I'll no, don't touch me. This is the black thing.
I am, yes, leave us alone to work our thing out.
No, but in this process, in this struggle, you're oppressing me.
Oh, black people oppressing you?
If
Black people
I am
oppressing
sitting,
you?
as a result, when I listen to these things, I'm calculating, are we going to have an uprising in this country?
Because-
what is it going to be like? What is going on?
because-
Why is Dr. Hines saying this?
No, because you think an uprising will remove your benefits. So all you looking out for you is your
No,
your
you gotta remember, I personally experienced in 1992.
critic.
And I'm saying you come now with a struggle, you come now with a fight, but there was nothing that was done between 2015. 5 years existed, nothing was given to black people. Now is the greatest black struggle.
Critics.
Do you agree with the apartheid the cry about apartheid recently?
Of course.
How so?
Because you all have a limited understanding of what apartheid is. Apartheid means apartness. In Afrikaans, it's called apartheid. In English, in America, it's called segregation. In British English, it's called colonialism. They were all forms of apartness. We have Indian villages, black villages. We are living apart. That is what apartheid is.
No, but when?
Hold on. There is apartheid by law. There was apartheid by law.
In South
Africa. There was apartheid by law in America from the 1860s to the 1960s by law. There's apartheid going on in the Middle East right now by law. So that is what we call in academia de jure apartheid. Then there's de facto apartheid. That is not apartheid by law, but apartheid in practice. What Guyana has is apartheid in practice. We already live apart. We live apart. Look, black villages, predominantly black villages, that's apartheid.
But that is changing fastly. They got diamond, they got tushin.
Hold on, my brother. Don't go too fast. Right? When we talk about an apartheid, we're saying an apartheid state. The state is acting in an apartheid way. You see, sometimes you all don't listen. The state, we are saying,
was it a situation like that between 2015 to 2020?
We have always had a discriminatory state. The state doesn't change unless you have a revolution. And you
but you had the opportunity managing the state. You did anything about it.
But you see me ignoring that because that is a simplistic question. That's why I'm ignoring it. It's a simplistic question. Today, this government has what previous government didn't have. A lot of resources. And this government has the responsibility to use those resources and distribute them equally. If the other governments can say, well, we didn't have the resources, this government cannot say that. And I'm saying don't get resources where you can implement policies and go earning people $10,000, $20,000 a football. We can get football from America.
But aren't things progressing?
No. Guyana is the richest country in the world per capita. All right? But Guyana has 50% poverty. Just suppose it to ask yourself, why we are the richest country in the world and half the population live on
Dr. Hines, we have now entered that era.
You are not progressing. You ask me the question, I'm answering you in the question.
No, but the roads are... You're totally oblivious to all the infrastructure and everything else.
Critic,
I went
to South Africa. You ain't got better roads than in South Africa. And it was an apartheid country. I live and work in America. It's the greatest country in the world. But it had slavery and then it had segregation for another 100 years. The presence of nice, shiny infrastructure does not mean the absence of discrimination. It does not mean the absence of discrimination. Politics have form and politics have content. The form is, yes, we are the richest country in the world. Yes, there is a lot of money. Yes, the government is running around the place and building this and building that. But if you don't build the lives of your people, if you don't improve the lives of your people materially and exponentially, meaning that what I am able to do today, what I was not able to do yesterday, I'm able to do today for myself and my family. That is when the rubber hits the road. Not big shiny roads and so on. What are you doing in terms of the quality of life of the people? Look at what's happening in this country. Look at the violence. Look at the craziness on the road. Look at how can you?
That has always been.
Yes, and you now have enough resources to begin to curb it.
To begin, you said,
yes,
to begin to curb it. The new card that will have an understanding of everybody, every citizen's where they are and what is due to them. Isn't that a step in the right
No,
direction?
that new card is to find out whether they, in order to find out what they're doing, whether they're undermining you. As you said, the government is more concerned. You and the government seem to be more concerned about whether I preach in black uprising or whether I preach in nourishment for people.
Again, not me and the government, Dr. Hines. I wholly and solely, because of how racism or race baiting has affected me.
Critic.
Me specific.
Critic, I am fighting racism. Black people are fighting racism. That burden.
Can you give me a few instances
of what?
To get an understanding of the racist acts that are being met out?
The police reacts to black people differently from
the black police force.
Whether it's black police force, brown police force, or what, I'm talking about the police force as an institution. That institution reacts to black people different than it reacts to Indian people.
The same way they reacted when black leaders were in power, and Felix
and that's what I'm saying.
Assisted criminals.
No, you calling names. I'm talking about an institution. And that's where we are thinking. You are worried about names. I'm worrying about institutions. It is the institution.
But you made no effort in changing that.
You're telling me, but I made no effort in changing that. I never held power.
No. Again,
yes.
When I say you, because when you talking, you telling me and referring to me like the people, like the government. Yeah. So when I say you, it's not the Dr. Hines. No. When I said Dr. Hines, I mean Dr. Hines.
Yes.
But when I say you I mean
black government?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is why I struggled against Burnham government and White government and Granger government. I didn't struggle against them because they're right. I struggled them because they were wrong in many things. I paid the price.
Do you think? I think you're the person to answer. Do you think that leaders such as Granger, their failings is more impactful on blacks than the other side because of the fact that they're supposed to know the struggle more than anybody else?
No, I am not going to make that argument. I'm not going to make that differentiation. The failure of the government and the state across the board. I'm not saying what is more impactful and what is more across the board. Governments in post-colonial Guyana and Caribbean have failed our societies. All governments. And that's what you all can wrap your minds around. That one can support a government. I supported the coalition, but I tell them they were wrong when they were wrong.
No, but Dr. Hines, you also said on a video that this government
is the worst.
Is the worst government.
Yes. And I
even from the colonial masters.
Come right through.
And Dr. Hines, you are part of a political party that a past party killed its founder. How?
A past party killed Cromie Wing. A past party killed Ronald Waddle. Walter Rodney was not the only person that was killed by a political party. So when you single him out in order to demonize the PNC and to give the PPP a pass, well, the PPP murdered black leaders too. And that is what we have to wrap our minds around in this country. You can support a party, Critic. It's your right if you want to support the PPP. I will not take that away from you. But you have to be, I support the party, but I disagree with the governance.
You don't, the only programs that you look at is the ones that I talk about you. You never look at my programs.
I look at all your programs.
Oh.
And in fact, I said last night, I said, the reason I call you is because I dissect you different. You cuss me about race. And then you spend the rest of your program talking about race, which means you understand. As old people that say, you only play and you don't understand. You use a term and get away with it. I couldn't use it, although I know it. Banner called in, and he said a rowing about the road that they're building lane after you or whatever. And you said that is Indian greed. You don't know how profound that is. And you don't know because of your privilege, you are able to say it. Critic, if I use the term Indian greed, they skin me alive. But you could do it. And in that sense, you're speaking for me. Although I don't agree with you, but you have the privilege. And I have never attacked you. But I don't attack people. I don't attack politicians. I attack the politics.
It's the policy.
Right.
Me, it's not you, Knight.
Right.
It's just that it pains me.
Yeah.
And talking to you, Dr. Hines, I'm seeing for years to come, we arguing, me trying to understand you, because really and truly, it is a laziness in me to want to fight. Really and truly, I'm looking for an easy way out.
Yeah.
You understand? I think we could live amazing lives in this country. And when I look and I see the struggle that is being created, I'm asking, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy our country?
Yeah.
You understand? I continue to ask.
The country destroyed a long time. Slavery destroyed the country. Me, I destroying it. This place here was a place where they buy people, sell people, kill people before they're 25 years old. And it's black people who humanize this place. They take their little money and buy land and create villages, build up church, build up school. That is what you call humanization. They humanize this place. And it must hurt them. That now for them to get a little something, they got put on a red jersey, they got expose themselves. In the village, people calling them all kind of old slave and all them kind of thing. Come on, man, if the PPP want to give some people something, give them little in the
Dr.
quiet,
Hines,
man. Don't make them,
let me tell you.
Don't make them
Let me
crawl.
tell you something if you didn't
Don't
know.
make the crawl on the belly.
Let me tell you something if you didn't know.
Yes.
Jagdeo,
Yeah.
Barrett Jagdeo,
Yes.
has people
Yeah.
in the PPP who don't like him.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And do you know where that hatred come from?
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Because of the amount of black people that he's brought to the party, the amount of black people he continue to empower in the party and in the country. I see that.
All right.
And in your mind, so watching the calculate the old stalwarts and so don't agree with that.
Glad you raised that. No, if that is true, I don't believe it is. Well,
it's a matter of fact.
All right. I don't believe the part about Jagdeo bringing black people. But anyhow, let's take it for argument. Don't you see that's where the problem is? The problem is not just on the black side. It's on the Indian side. If it is true that Jagdeo is reaching out to black people, and then he's punishing his own party among his own race, don't you see the problem is beyond the
He's
black
not
people?
punishing.
He's not
If
punished.
they're
He's
saying-
punished. He's punished by his own. That means they don't like it. That's what I'm saying. He's not
No, but
punished.
like you go anywhere.
Yes, but what I'm saying, the problem of race is profound. It is profound. Don't you think that on the same side, you know what you remember what they used to call it? Desmond Prasad. It's a serious problem, Critic. And I accept your candidness. When you say, look, I lazy, I want this thing go away. But my brother, it ain't gonna go away like that. Because you wish it away or I wish it away.
No.
It has to be a process. And, we have to, I hear somebody sitting at this very table and say, I am a Guyanese, I ain't into this race thing. But because me grandmother is Chinese, I'm Amerindian, and my son is a black man. I don't like race, but you then proceed.
You add up
you then proceed to talk about race. Guyanese have to be open. We are a diverse society. And it's not a crime to be diverse. We are a diverse society. We are different people. Identity is very important. If you walk out there and somebody said, Thomas, you aren't paying them no mind, that's a critic. Michael, Rodriguez, identity matters. Identity means with whom you identify. When I am in Buxton, my village, nobody don't call me a Buxtonian. They say, where you from, Bagdam side? Bottom Station? I am not a Buxtonian in Buxton. I'm a Bottom Station man. When I come to Tongue, people say, where you from? But I then become a Buxtonian. When I am in Guyana, I'm not a Guyanese. I'm a Buxtonian. When I leave and go to New York and they hear the accent, they say, where you from? Jamaica, Guyana, Antigua? So my identity changes. When I go to Arizona, they don't ask me about Guyanese and Buxton. I'm a black man. We have multiple identities and all of them are important. What we try to do in Guyana is to take away people's identity. We must all be this Guyanese guy. If you use Venezuela, if Venezuela had its way, all them people in Essequibo, it at the stroke of a pen will cease being Guyanese. Guyana is a civic identity. Countries come into being and go out of being. People used to be Soviets. Today they're Slovaks and Russians and Armenians. Guyana can go off the map. So this thing about Guyanese, all we share in Guyana, a flag, a national anthem, a constitution, and a government. That's what we share. We share civic identity.
Can you find, because this argument, I think 50 years have wound you up and bent you in such a manner that doesn't afford you the opportunity to be receptive to anything else other than your ideology. And I think it's also an expression of your experience, of which I've never had. I'm now 7 years into politics. Can you ever find peace? And what does peace
You're
mean?
wrong. You're wrong.
How so?
When I go to the cricket ground, and Chandra Paul, well, he's no longer there. Sarwan is no longer there. I'm thinking about, and you throw a ball in the hand of Kodake Shimoti. When I watch Ini bowl, I ain't thinking Indian.
Thinking bowler.
Guyanese and West Indian. With a ball in his hand, weaving magic against the Indians or the Australians. He transforms my thinking, your thinking. So we have made progress. We've made progress. All right? When Chandra Paul, with a bat in the hand, he's no longer a timid little Indian boy, he's a tiger. Fierce.
Roads are coming to Buxton. What do you say about that?
Huh?
Roads are coming to Buxton.
There've always been roads in Buxton.
New roads to Buxton.
There've always been new roads.
That doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I am saying that you bring roads. As an old lady in Buxton telling me, road for car drive pan.
Sure what? Sure what?
Should I get car? You have to understand, it is not the roads that represent development. It's whether the roads contribute to lifting the quality of the lives of the people in the communities through which.
Isn't that one aspect of infrastructure? Isn't that one aspect
I
of
am saying
what
yes.
lives?
I am saying yes, but don't isolate it. Look at
No,
it.
just because I bid in for some roads.
Yeah.
and
Look
stuff,
at it within its. Who would say that there should not be roads? I want 4-lane roads, but I also want a decrease in car accidents. I want a decrease in reckless driving. I worry about the 4-lane road, about those old ladies and little children.
Your specific thoughts and input on that.
On what?
The decrease in accidents, because it's something I've been covering constantly. Your specific thoughts on it. What do you think?
I think part of it has to do with the way in which our younger people are socialized, but I think part of it has to do with law. If you don't enforce laws, people have a free pass. The corruption in the police force, the fact that Abana know that.
Dr. Hines, as soon as I tell you want to see protests and fire, you're going to try to enforce something.
Yeah.
You understand? So how do we deal with that?
I understand that. The thing that people can go and buy their license, which means that there's no rigor. You can go get your license. I mean, 200 and something people sit the exam for drive for license. and you share out 400 and something license, it means 200 and something people and go through. So it's a broad problem, but I think the problem has to do with the rule of law in the society. And I hear you. Eh? Here's the thing about the rule of law. The more government try to impose the rule of law, the more resistant people get, because people are suspicious of government. They always feel that government has an ulterior motive. So if the government doesn't have the legitimacy, it finds it harder to enforce the law. And this government doesn't have widespread legitimacy. It's legitimized by half of the population, and half of the population doesn't feel it has the right to govern.
That could have been considered 2020. Did they have a growing number of people in the opposition?
Stop it, Critic. Stop it.
Is that across the country?
Yes, stop it. If the
people playing games?
No. If the PPP, let's say the PPP get 5,000 Indians, blacks, to go into the party, there's 5,000 out of 200 and something thousand. Come on, be realistic, right?
Look at the local government, the result of the local government election.
Local government election. Local government election.
Dr. Hines, and figures just go to the statistics, don't matter.
It tells you a little part of the story. It tells you a little part. It is not the story. It's a little part of the story.
The taking over Madi, the taking over of Bartica, sometimes slight figures, another seat in Linden. How?
Critic, if this government changed tomorrow and the PNC get into power, they're going to be doing the same thing that the PPP doing. And Indians are going to bawl. They're going to say, now I understand what David Hines was saying. Because the PNC is going to be pressured to do the same thing what the PPP is doing. That is to go into Indian communities and raid them.
No, but President Ali continues to say he's the president for all Guyanese.
All presidents have said that. All presidents.
Nobody continues to show.
Show what? He's a president for all Guyanese? How? Show me how. By him saying I'm a president for all Guyanese have to feel that you are the president for them. And all Guyanese don't feel that way.
No, because a good cross-section of Guyanese, they got pockets of people who listen to people like you, who project onto them what they should think.
They don't get mind.
And what they should feel.
They ain't get mind, they ain't get feelings.
No, but I just got people like Carlin here now. You saw people like say Carlin and you talk, say what you want to say. But PPP, PNC, anybody.
But you say I ain't got no following. Them band ain't got no following. So now we projecting and influencing people and we ain't got no following.
Well, I might not have been correct in there. I mean, when I say you ain't got no following, I mean in context like meeting, because meeting is international, hundreds of thousands of people looking all the time. You understand? So I was putting it in the context with me, right? But you are, because I was listening. Remember why you're listening? It's like when a man saying there's a racist, what you say? I say, man, you don't realize the facts and what is being said ain't adding up. It doesn't make sense.
Critic, you played some clips yesterday. And all of those clips show that I am anti-government, not racist. But
black pudding, the Indian lady, black pudding. I've been to Suriname and eat black pudding, the Japanese doing black pudding.
You're listening to what people say if you listen to my entire speech. It was not about the lady selling black pudding. That lady has a right to sell black pudding, to make black pudding and sell black pudding.
You clearly, again, I am telling you.
You listen to me.
I am telling you how it come over to me.
I know it.
Mondre Post suggesting an Indian community.
I am saying
black pudding, but black people think Indian lady making it.
Yeah. No. I said you don't leave. You played yesterday. You don't leave Pleasance and BV. You don't leave Pleasance and BV and Buxton to go to Mondre Post. That is the gist of what I'm saying. And I went on in the same talk to say, you don't leave Enmore and Enterprise and go to Buxton looking for Gail Barker Quarry.
No, but it's racializing the thing.
I racialize the thing, racialize. You think a man will leave Enmore and go in Pleasance looking for Gail Barker Quarry? An Indian man? Come on, Critic, come on. That is all I was making the point.
But Pleasance got Gail Barker Quarry?
Eh?
If it got to tell it to go in because they're getting lazier every day. If it got Gail Barker Quarry, Pleasance, they're going. Where?
We don't respect black people girl back a curry. It's not a real thing. Just like James Bond tell your friend with the conky with currants. I said,
Kanki can't get currency inside now.
but Freddie had a conky with currants, and James Bond had to tell you, bye, black people conky don't get
Don't get
currants.
currents. Currents is a... You understand? Kanki can't get
But
currents.
that's the point I am making. If you want a good girl back a curry, you ain't going to Buxton.
No, but again, the discussion is how it came across.
No. How people chose, some people chose to
No, but it's
receive.
happening. I'm telling you how
but
I'm getting it.
No, but I'm not denying that, but I'm saying that is not the whole truth. There are things that you say come across a certain way. When you say black people don't read, it's not true.
They don't like to read.
No, that's not true. The people who read newspaper are black people. Go ask Glenn Ladd, ask Stabrook News. Ask them who does buy the paper.
At the time, again, nobody paid the context. At the time,
But I know
they were being misled. The masses were being misled by the government.
Yeah.
And imagine these people come, as the first person. I looking all over the world to find out if any sitting members of parliament ever protest a private citizen's house.
Yeah, but Critic, you doing the same thing now. Just as how they dice out a little piece and then take you out of context, you doing the same thing to me. You dicing out a little piece.
So their parts. No, me dice out. Because I say black people don't like read.
Yeah. But and they were wrong, and they were wrong to you.
They
but you
twisted it.
Yeah, but you doing the same thing to me.
No, but again, they got any difference in clear.
Undermine the government. That's not a racist. I've been saying.
No, here, this part.
Yeah.
Undermine this government.
Right.
In whatever way you can. I can't tell you how to do it. But in the believer, make what she will take notice.
No, here was my problem.
Yeah.
When you say I can't tell you how to do it, think.
Yes.
I am telling you, think. I ain't joking.
Yeah.
I ain't joking. I ain't making idle threats.
Yeah.
So when I tell you, I can't tell you how to do it. I am telling you, dear.
Yeah.
We gotta do something serious. You understand? And then so I calculated, I said, this is what the thing, this is what's really going on here. You understand? Why do we have to go here? What does it mean?
Jack, you didn't tell them, chase them out when they come in your community?
No, but it's direct. That's clear as day.
You want me to be like he? And tell them chase out people or go shoot up people?
No, but people have done. People that tell people shoot up. Is Ogunse say turn the guns?
No, Ogunse say if the police turns his guns on you, he's advocating.
It's over.
It's advocating self-defense. It's self-defense. You take it as whatever you take it as. Other people sees it as self-defense.
How do we know? Where's the feedback that give the statistics that afford us the opportunity to know, yes, we walk in. Bear in mind, you represented Mondrepo. You tried to make Mondrepo out. That is a PPP. You represented Mondrepo. People walked from Golden Grove, walked from Buxton.
Yeah.
And you said that is PPP set up this thing.
Critic.
I was there on the ground.
Critic, I am not going to allow you or anybody to criminalize black people. You all watch a whole set of people walk from Golden Grove to Monrepo. A small set of boys.
Women, everybody.
Hold on, listen.
People went back with the goods to their homes.
Listen to me, man. And all set a little boys, and you say women too. I use the word interfere with the people, and I realize it's not a country boy. Right? You say, look how David Einstein interfere. Interfere means that you assault people. When you say, like when we don't.
But again, when I put it across a message, I want the message come across right.
Listen me, no man.
You water down the thing.
No, in the village when we say that boy interfere with a girl, we mean he rapes you. But because we are village people, we communicate differently. So when I say interfere, it means the same thing you're saying. But you're not a country boy, so you don't understand country communication. And right? No. You, if you're criminalizing, criminalize those who interfere with the people thing. don't criminalize the large crowd. Don't criminalize black people. You're going to hear from me.
No, but you represented it. It's not.
No. I didn't represent those who interfere with the people thing. I represent those who were marching legitimately and who were criminalized. So right now, those are the ones I represent.
The people who are charged. Photograph of video footage, show them.
Robin Simon was photographed interfering with people thing.
I don't know of all of that. I don't know that.
Thank you very much. There are a lot of those people who were charged never interfere with anybody. That is why the cases can't come up in court. And I'm saying, make a distinction between the provocateurs. I said they were planted by the PPP. You said they were not. My point, whether they were planted or not planted, you need to isolate the legitimate marchers. If you the legitimate marchers, I have to.
This march was started by leaders,
yes,
such as yourself.
No. I wasn't there. I was not there.
I think Norton was there.
Norton wasn't there. No leader was there. No top flight leader was there. That thing was started by the people in Golden Grove. I learned of that.
Look at next instance.
The morning it was.
Look at next instance.
Yes.
Granger and Harmon went for the Henry Boy situation.
Yes.
And after that was mass confusion, born in the road, people assaulted. There were claims of rape. Haven't been proven. Mm-hmm. But that's what was the news, right?
Yeah.
And me don't go down, me got see. Yeah. A lot of times me is hello, me hear. But me actually know myself, but me want reveal I was there, right? Yeah. These things continue to happen. How do we not look at it and put it on the carpet? Well, this is because of the struggle. We had to do this.
Critic. People are not robots. People have feelings. And yes, the presence of leaders sometimes bring out. People play out the anger. That's already there.
Unfortunately, PNC affiliated leaders, the presence of them does always bring out a bad side of people.
Don't say that. I was in Belladrum on the wall. And I got there, and Sonia Parag, the Minister of Public Service, was inside. She wasn't invited, but she invited herself, and she went there. The people had the emancipation thing. And I got there, and those women were angry. They were cursing. They were carried on. Green was the main speaker. I was there to just give some remarks. And I felt burdened. And when I got up to speak, I expressed what I think those women were expressing. And then I went on to say, but we African people are manly people. And so, in spite of our disappointment and anger at the government that you represent, we welcome you here. And when Hamilton Green got up, he asked the crowd to get up. And he said, give a round of applause for the minister. Those things will never make the news.
Well, it's known now.
Here we were leaders. We did both things. We appeased people who were angry. We appeased them. I did that. Right? But we also made the minister feel welcome.
Don't you think that is deserving in light of the fact, the effort she's made?
I don't know whether the effort is made. The government that she represents, those people feel oppressing them. All right? And I have to represent that. But I also, as a quote-unquote leader, have the responsibility to also show the other side, and that's the side of love. And to say, despite your anger at the government that she represents, she's here, you all are human beings of dignity. And so, be dignified towards her. All right? That's what I teach every day. People hear.
It doesn't come across like that.
Well, because people hear what they want to hear. People hear what they want to hear.
No, but Dr. Hines, you're a professor.
Yes.
You said the only thing you can do after being afforded these opportunities is educate people.
Yes.
You're saying you're not sure how the message is conveyed?
No, I'm not saying I'm sure. I'm saying...
Well, the meaning, the intent is clear.
I am saying PPP people are going to hear that message differently from people who are not PPP. That's what I'm saying.
Dr.
And I
Hines,
can't change that. I can't change that. That's going to change when the government changes. When the government changes and I start put blows, the same blows I'm giving this government now, and a new government come in and do the same thing and start blows in them, Indian people going to embrace.
how many times are we going to change before we...
I hear you say them ban and got no plan. Critic, the outcome for this country is that we have to do what people in Northern Ireland has done, what people in the Sudan have done, what people in Kenya and Zimbabwe have done.
Tell me.
And that is the sheer power.
Do you know? I just come back from Suriname. You hear what happened?
Yes,
Suriname?
Suriname is a good example.
A disaster.
Yeah.
A disaster. They got Javanese party, they got a black party, they got an Indian party. All them come together, and it's a natural disaster.
Yes, but it's better you get that disaster than the disaster that we got here. The disaster that we got is that
the development that is going on in this country is a disaster.
What development you are talking about? What development are you talking about? With 50% of the people living below $5. Stop it.
You mean $5?
$5. Guyanese live on $5 and less. Critic, you know better, you know. I know.
No. Where does this statistics come from? No, seriously, we gotta go back to the drawing board. We got far away from God.
The World Bank said that, man. Oh God, man. Critic, the government knows that. The government knows that. Development is not roads.
Do you see that 50% turning to 25% by 2025?
No. It's going to increase.
More people are going to get poorer in Guyana.
Yes.
As a result of the Demerara being bridge, Borbies being bridge. Fares going down and more people are going to get poor.
The bridge and the Demerara River, how is that?
Job opportunities. Job opportunities. Natural gas.
Who the jobs going to?
Oh, Dr. Hines, you know something?
Yeah, who the jobs
and a lot of times...
No, I'm not talking about Indians here, you know.
No.
I'm not talking about Indians or black.
Guyanese. Yeah. I think they're more poor Indians than blacks.
When people bringing in the labor, them Chinese bring in their own skilled labor. The Americans are now bringing in their own labor. We have got to get down into the business of training people, training this workforce to meet the modernization of the economy. All right? You don't just say you're going to get employment if you don't train people. And I heard you say them ban and that. This government doesn't have a plan. If this government had a plan, nurses wouldn't be leaving. Because if you pay nurses better, I'm not saying they're not going to leave, but they're not going to leave in the drove. So you're going to not pay your own nurses. You're going to import nurses. You got to pay the passage. You got to put them up when you come in.
That was a projection. I have never been to a medical facility that got shortage for nurses. Does the next thing?
Yeah, but the fact is that nurses are leaving.
They've always been leaving. Professionals have always left for better money.
My brother, but I'm saying that if you have wealth, it means that you are able to create more opportunities for your people to stay. And they're still leaving, it means you get wealth, but you don't have a plan. Or if you have a plan, the plan is not to benefit those ordinary people.
Dr. Hines, we got to continue this conversation, and I see many more hours, enough hours. We can get it whole day. Right? I can get sharper, you can educate me in whatever way. I want to thank you for this opportunity, and we can do this again, because I would like to, for you to be able to see things from my perspective, and I'll continue to let you know how I feel and how I see you projecting onto Guyanese people. And people could call in and say that, because in the comments people saying all kind of thing. I am more interested in a peaceful solution.
Me too.
Right? So we gonna go at this till we figure out and everybody figure out what is the direction. Right? Come to some kind of consensus. I want to thank you for this opportunity.
I want to thank you. And I don't usually do this. People beat me up all the time. I don't call them. I call you because I listen to you. I listen to you all the time. And you are able to say some things and to bring out some things that the rest of us can't bring out. And I made reference to your thing where you talk about Indian greed. I have observed it. I couldn't see it. And that's the usefulness of people like yourself, and that's why...
That is why they call me the realest thing in the world.
Right, and that's,
I call myself that.
And so although I disagree with you 50% of the time, maybe more, I understand what you are doing. And I felt that I needed to come and to really explain the race thing. Because what Guyanese is called racist is that any Agbo race is a racist, right? There's a difference between racial. I see things... That don't mean you're a racist.
All right, Dr. Hines.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks again.
It's always good
Thank
being
the
here.
viewers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope this has been edifying for you. As always, I got my points. I stick to my guns. Dr. Hines has expressed his views, and I'm hoping we could do this more often. Thank you guys for tuning in.